Once upon a time, nestled in a quiet valley surrounded by rolling hills, there was a beautiful farm called Green Haven. The farm was owned by an elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Miller, who loved the land and the animals more than anything in the world. Green Haven was no ordinary farm. Rumors spread across the nearby villages that the farm held a magical secret. The crops grew faster than anywhere else, the animals were healthier, and the flowers bloomed in colors no one had ever seen before. One sunny morning, a curious young girl named Emma decided to visit the farm. She had heard the stories and wanted to see the magic for herself. When she arrived, she was greeted warmly by Mrs. Miller, who invited her to help with the daily chores. Emma happily agreed and spent the day feeding the chickens, milking the cows, and watering the vegetables. Everything seemed normal, yet there was something enchanting about the way the animals behaved. The cows mooed in harmony, the chickens clucked to a gentle rhythm, and even the plants seemed to sway as if dancing to an invisible tune. Later that afternoon, Mr. Miller invited Emma to plant some seeds in a small patch of soil near the barn. "These seeds are special," he said with a wink. Emma carefully planted them, watered the soil, and waited. To her amazement, within minutes, tiny green sprouts began to appear. "How is this possible?" Emma gasped. Mr. Miller smiled and said, "The secret lies not in the seeds, but in the love and care we give to everything on this farm. When you treat the land and its creatures with kindness, it gives back more than you can imagine." Emma returned home that evening, her heart full of wonder. From that day on, she visited Green Haven often, learning not only about farming, but also about the magic of compassion and care. Years later, when Emma grew up and started her own farm, she carried the lessons of Green Haven with her. Her land too flourished with vibrant crops and happy animals, proving that kindness and love were the true magic of the world. And so, the story of the magical farm lived on, inspiring generations to care for the earth and its creatures with open hearts. Years passed, and Green Haven became a place of inspiration for the entire valley. Farmers from nearby villages visited to learn the Miller's secrets, and they were always welcomed with open arms. Emma, now an accomplished farmer herself, often returned to visit her mentors. One day, Mr. Miller called Emma aside and handed her a small, worn-out book. "This is for you," he said with a gentle smile. "It holds the knowledge we've gathered over the years, not just about farming, but about life." Emma opened the book and found pages filled with handwritten notes, sketches of plants and animals, and wise sayings about respect for nature. One phrase stood out: "When you work with nature, not against it, the earth becomes your greatest ally." The years were catching up to Mr. and Mrs. Miller, and soon they decided it was time to pass Green Haven on to someone who would cherish it as they had. To Emma's surprise, they asked her to take over. "We've seen your heart," Mrs. Miller said. "You've learned everything this farm has to teach, and we know you'll keep its magic alive." Emma accepted with tears of gratitude. She moved into the farmhouse, bringing her own family, and continued the Miller's legacy. Under her care, the farm grew even more beautiful. She invited schoolchildren to visit, teaching them about farming and the importance of living in harmony with nature. As the years rolled by, Emma's farm became known far and wide. People said it was as if the very soil carried the love and wisdom of all who had worked it before. Emma always smiled at this and replied, "That's because it does." And so the story of Green Haven continued, a timeless reminder that the greatest magic lies in the love and care we give to the world around us.